Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Rob McIntyre and Trace Armstrong. We're here to cover the challenge Ride or Dies, episode 3. If you'd like to become a patron and listen to bonus content, you can go to patreon.com/the Challenge Chronicles and subscribe for $4 per month. We just did a bonus episode on the speculated cast for Battle of the Champions. What are some other bonus episodes that we've done? We have historical recaps of older seasons. If one of your favorite seasons is The Ruins, maybe The Duel, Inferno
we're not done
2.
with The Ruins yet.
Okay, we're not quite done with The Ruins.
We're close. We're 3 episodes away.
We're almost done through The Ruins. We've done all the way from the original Battle of the Seasons through, I don't know, maybe episode 6 of The Ruins, and then we plan to do
7.
Fresh Meat after that. 7 of The Ruins. We've talked about some of our favorite seasons of all time, best, funniest moments of all time. There's some good stuff in there. So if you'd like to support the show and get some bonus content, you can go to patreon.com/the Challenge Chronicles and subscribe for $4 per month. What did we think of episode 3 of Ride or Dies?
Very meh to me.
See, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was a very fine episode. Like, is it like going to stand up in the pantheon of all great episodes? Absolutely not. Is it going to stand up to one of the like regular episodes of Rivals 2 or 1? No, but like for the era we're in, it was fine.
I thought
we're getting on the curve these days.
I thought this episode sucked. I think I watched the episode and I was like, okay, that was whatever. And then the more I thought about it, I thought to myself, what the fuck even happened that episode? Literally nothing happened.
Well, so there was the preamble before the mission took forever. They tried to jam a bunch in there because we got a bunch of like random rookie content because they were all going to be in elimination this week. Mm-hmm. And then we got Fessy, how Fessy's like sleeping with half the house essentially.
Actually, he's sleeping with way more apparently.
Well, that's the thing is Nerys posted a bunch of stuff afterwards. There was a bunch that they didn't show related to that. And then we got a bit of our like Tori, Jordan, and Nisa content as they came in. That was also a bit of a thing. It felt kind of weird I feel like they ran into a bit of an issue where it feels like the Tori and Jordan stuff would be what should be the primary focus of what's going on, but they had no relevance to the gameplay that was going on in this episode. Neither of them won the mission. They were at zero risk of going into elimination. So just because Jordan had just showed up, they felt like they needed to show some of that, but it was completely disconnected from the overall narrative of the episode.
I don't know. I didn't necessarily have an issue with the fact that it was disconnected. I just didn't think it was that entertaining. Someone on Discord, I think it was No Quitters Pod Stat, mentioned that we pretty much, when it comes to the episode, we get the basic cookie cutter formula. And, well, I don't think he said that, but he said that we get game talk or we get a relationship talk. And that's about it. And I would agree with that, with the exception that I would say that we get game talk, relationship talk, or some metaphysical question, like how Fessy has now decided to change his name to the decision maker. Like that's pretty much what we get.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of how it goes. I don't know. For me, the issue with this episode is just if one of these vet pairs wins, it's just like, okay, well, here come all the rookies down the line, and then it's just,
we
just
talked
like,
about
what are they gonna do?
It's gonna be slaughter. We talked about it.
And then
but this is what happens every season. Like, not even like the last couple seasons, which were stupid. But this is what always occurs. This is what happened going all the way back to Battle of the Exes and Gauntlet 2. This is what they do.
That's why they need to cast the show differently. It's stupid.
I don't know that I completely agree with that. Like on World of Worlds 1, Ashley was home. I went home in the first episode. Johnny Bananas went home in the second episode. And
but see, here's the thing, though. You had a cast that was half vets and half new people, exactly because it was War of the Worlds. So these vets are going to take shots at each other if every team is a vet. There's a difference. Those seasons are few and far between. Fresh Meat 1, Fresh Meat 2, and War of the Worlds 1 are the only times that happens.
I think that the difference is that you have veterans paired with rookies, right? You have strong veterans paired with rookies, so it helps them facilitate throughout the game. And in seasons where you have rookie pairs, this is what's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So they've tried to slowly bring in veteran pairs like Johnny, like Jordan, like Anissa, and Darrell and Veronica next week. And if you think that that's some way that you're going to be able to handicap the rookies and help them be able to be more successful in the game, it's just not going to cut it. It's
I
not
don't
going to
think
make a difference.
I don't think that was that calculated at all. I think the issue was just they had a bunch of people who couldn't go because of COVID or just had random issues, and then there was just a delay in getting those teams in the game. That's what I think happened. I don't think it had anything to do with it.
I actually
I don't
agree
think that
with
was
Rob.
planned out at all.
Okay.
I mean, Darrell
That's
and Veronica might have been like they might have had one team they wanted to bring in as a mercenary, but I don't think they were intending to have each week somebody new showing up.
They did.
Yeah, I agree. So let me follow up on
And for
this
Johnny
real
and
quick before you
Nani
jump
too,
in.
though.
Yes, because Johnny and Nani were supposed to be paired with completely different people. So Nani's original partner was Josh. Johnny Bananas was going to be on this season no matter what. He had a pay or play contract for season 38, the Battle of the Champions, and one other future season, probably All Stars 4. So what happened is they had to use Johnny, or they had to pay him $150K to sit at home. Like, they had to use him. So when Janelle said no, when last minute Emily said no, the only choice they had was Nani, and they had to make a decision. Do we keep Josh around, or do we slap Bananas with Nani? And so you got Banani part 2. Now, Jordan and Naya were supposed to be there from day 1. Well, Naya got her medical issue before they flew out. The other issue that they had is Darrell and Veronica were a replacement team, period, because it was supposed to be Theo and Georgia, and something came up last second. They couldn't come. So they literally stumbled ass backwards into bringing these teams in late. That was the only way to get them in.
Yeah, and to me, there's just no way that they're in the planning being like, okay, for the first 3 weeks, we're just going to have a new team pop in every single week. I just don't think that happened. I think this is just what they had to deal with.
They've done crazier shit.
I just think this is just what they fell into.
Yeah,
so,
it was a complete accident because the shit just went sideways.
I just think more of this issue is just how this format is set up. I mean, if anybody who wins the submission is just dictating the entire episode.
It's terrible.
Especially like, someone as boring as Fessy.
Well, and I really like
I'll try to use his real name.
I really like Johnny, Ravyn, and Horatio and Olivia. Like, I actually thought they brought a decent element to the show. They both seemed to like know what they were doing compared to some of these other rookie pairs, especially that we've had in the past. But like, what are they going to do? Like, they're just like, what are they going to do?
When it came to deliberation to decide which 4 teams would go into elimination, Fessy said it himself. We had talked about it the first couple of weeks. The amount of people in your alliance doesn't matter. It means nothing at this point in time. What matters are the strong people in your alliance, because you need strong people to win to be able to protect you. And that's why it was absolutely meaningless to form some type of relationship with Tommy and Annalise. It didn't matter because he said, it doesn't matter to form a relationship with them because they're probably not going to win a mission.
I suppose what you could say is, looking down the line, if you're picked, if you and that other pair are both picked as part of the foursome, if you have some sort of agreement with them, they're more likely to save you from the draw. But I mean, that's a pretty remote outcome at that point. You'd have to do quite a bit of steps to get there. So yeah, it's not worth it that much if one of these bottom peon teams is trying to make some sort of agreement with you.
Yeah, I mean, how many more of these people do we have to pick off before we can start watching the show again?
There's only 3 rookie pairs, right?
That's 3 more at least. So that's going to be next week. So next week it's going to be it's going to be the 3 rookie pairs, and then it's going to be Jay and Michelle or Amber B and Chauncey. That's what it's going to be.
I mean, if I'm the vets, I would keep throwing in Jay and Michelle because Michelle's actually a political threat, whereas Amber B and Chauncey are just what the fuck.
Dude, I was so ready. What would have just made this episode? What would have actually like given it a little bit more juice is for Fessy to get in there and put in Amber B. Oh my god!
I thought he might because he never even brought that up. At least from what we saw, I thought that might be kind of in the back of his mind. I mean, he did it last season, right? When he didn't need to at all.
Mm-hmm. You know he thought about it.
You know he had to.
You know he thought about it.
I think that Johnny Bananas had probably the quote of the episode about him. It's like, he might be going by Fessel now, but he's still Messy Fessy. And it was just like, the only thing that he is just setting himself up to get screwed. Like, everything that he's doing right now, him and Nelson playing between the lines and just trying to stay out of the line of fire and not make any waves is eventually going to bite them in the ass.
Well, what should they do then?
I think he made a good move. I think he
Yeah.
did exactly what he should have done.
Well, well, for the elimination, yes, but you can't hook up with all these women and expect it not to come back and bite you in the ass.
I don't know that they're actually hooking up. I think
that's what I was going to say too. I don't think they're hooking up either. I think they're just like,
well, let me read you something. So I'm going to quote Devon. So she's friends with Johnny and Ravyn, okay? And she went on the challenge subreddit, and I want to credit let's see here. Where is it?
This is Devon.
Yes, Devon, like from Big Brother Devon.
Like paired with Jose on Final Reckoning. Devon.
Yeah. So this is from Kurt1SB. He tagged me in this and was like, hey, you need to look at this. So this to me is a problem. So we've talked a lot lately in the last few months about the challenge has turned into political CrossFit. That's basically what it is. It's political CrossFit. They are choosing to edit the show from a reality competition standpoint instead of giving people some of the drama, some of the messiness, whatever. Listen to what happened in this episode that did not make air. Bananas and Devin manipulated Nuries into thinking that Ravyn was shit-talking her.
Dude, how do we not get this stuff?
Nuries and Ravyn argued so badly to the point that security got involved. Dude. Devin was screaming at Colleen from House Targaryen at the top of his lungs, calling her a liar and demanding an apology letter. So she wrote one in German, which
she didn't
pissed
actually
Devin off more.
She didn't actually do that. She
okay.
wrote. Well, but I should specify. She wrote a letter in German, but it was not an apology letter. It was just basically like, "Screw off, Devin. I didn't lie about anything," and then sent it to him in German.
Oh, good times. Colleen then went. Go ahead.
The argument was between Nerys and Colleen, or it was between Nerys
no,
and
Colleen
Ravyn?
and Devin. Colleen and
Devin. Nerys and Ravyn. Ravyn got into a huge shouting, shoving match that security got involved in. Next incident is Devin and Colleen.
Okay, but so what was the incident between Devin and Colleen?
It's unclear.
Okay.
No one knows. Basically, he called her a liar, and that's as far as we know.
Okay.
We also know Jay. To what extent these relationships went, who knows? But Jay was with Olivia. Who else was on this list, Trace?
It was Laurel, Olivia, Nuries, and somebody else. But basically, Jay's like hooking up with Colleen was the other one. Yeah. So he's hooking up with 4 different girls over the span of these first couple episodes. We're seeing any of it?
Nerys talked with us all on Twitter afterwards.
Yep. All right. Other incident that occurred. Colleen and Jay fought because he chose Olivia over her.
That's right.
And then the last incident is when Tommy and Annalise chose Olivia and Horatio. Olivia immediately shouted the entire house that Tommy and Annalise are the fakest people in the game. So they're leaving really good content and conflict on the cutting room floor to be a fucking political CrossFit show now. That's what we're at. There is still challenge drama occurring that makes us love this show. They have 90 minutes of airtime, and they're choosing not to show it. It just pisses me off. Like, it really does.
Sucks.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they would save some of that for next week, but like Johnny and Ravyn are gone, so they can't use any of their.
I know, they can't use any of that.
I mean, maybe they'll try. It'll just put like somebody else's face over Johnny's.
Blur people's faces out.
Yeah.
It's production. Don't worry about that.
Oh, they're not actually on. Yeah, these are just like civilians. We can't show them on the show, so we have to blur their face out, even though they're yelling at each other.
So, sorry to interrupt with all that, but you asked me why I enjoy the episode. My bar for the main show at this point is so low. Like they literally have to trip just to get over the bar. Okay. This show could still be great. It really could. They just choose not to do it.
It's one of those things where we're just not in the back room, so who knows? I mean,
maybe now that the ratings are absolute fucking dog shit, they'll start to juice it up a little bit. Because haven't the first 2 episode, and I'm not sure what happened with episode 3, but haven't the first 2 episodes?
It's 0.4 again. Absolutely, the ratings literally are half what they were for last season.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. And a lot of people are trying to make the argument that it's challenge fatigue, and there's part of that. But I think this is production finally getting their just desserts. They have been fucking around and fucking shit up for a while in the last couple years, and they're finally just getting bit in the ass. All Stars 3, good season. Challenge USA, pretty good season up until you have a final that's just a complete and utter fucking travesty. Like, how can you take this show seriously when you can't even really say Sarah maybe didn't really win that final, but they say she did? You know, the rules are unclear. You watch the Boar Fest that was Spies, Lies, and Allies. I mean, how can you say that the main flagship show isn't trending down?
Well, so let's look forward from here. What would you hope the show does at this point? I think this elimination format's bad enough where I really hope they. I don't know how they would, but they
You
do
got to
some
mix
sort of
something
change.
up.
You got to mix it
You
up.
literally, you just throw the format out the door and you move to a new format. That's what you
Yeah.
have to do.
They did it on All Stars 3.
You have to do it, and they're not
Which-
going to do it.
No, they're
I
not
think
gonna
that
do
they, I think they would do like some radical twist that kind of changes the format of the show. That's on the table, but I don't think that they would just change the format in and of itself.
They did it on All Stars 3 to some level though. Remember where they switched to last place goes in and then last place
That's
goes
not
in.
that's not a main show move. How many times have we seen that happen on the main show?
I mean, Spice Goes in now switched up the whole format of the show.
That's what I mean, though. That's different.
Yeah.
They just changed the format. I don't see them changing this format because then it's not ride or dies. Like, that's the point. Like,
Well,
they're
it
saying
doesn't
this
have
is
to be
your-
changed pairs. Just change how people get voted in.
I know, but I don't think they're going to change how people get voted in. Like, I think they would
I don't
change
think they are
pairs.
either.
I think they would like change pairs, like move something around like that, make it
Yeah.
individual or something like that. But I don't think they're going to change the voting format in and of itself because they really want the daggers, right? So they need 4 people to go. But you could figure out how you could change the way that 4 people go in.
Dude, like my least favorite part of the show right now, those freaking daggers, dude. I can't. It's so much unneeded content. Just the absolute worst. That and these interrogations, which don't amount to anything. They're the two worst parts of the show.
Because every episode now, just to pretty much cement the cookie cutter format that has become this season, we get the eventual conversation where people strike deals back and forth. If I pick the safe dagger, will you pick me? And back and forth.
Yeah, but like, do you find those compelling? I mean, maybe when it's bigger players, maybe when it's bigger players, it'll mean a little bit more. But I don't know, man. I don't care. So I think that's all bad. I mean, looking at what actually happened this episode, did you find any of it worth discussing? Really?
None of it was worth discussing.
Okay, I disagree. I think there's 2 really interesting things. First of all, it's not the Jordan Tori situation. Okay, before I go into the 2 things, Jordan and Tori. How legit do we think that thing in the bar was? Because I could go either way. It could have been legit, but it also felt a little forced.
Well, I think it might have because
define
she was
legitimate.
drunk.
Like, do we really think that they have not spoken when I know for a fact they've spoken prior to this season?
Well, we know they've like messaged back and forth. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like they've actually seen each other, which is a lot different than just texting.
That is true, but I am also aware that Tori was under the impression Jordan might come. She didn't know if he was for sure, but
According
she was
to
under
who?
the impression. Well, it's a convoluted way around through Bananas because Bananas had talked to Jordan and Bananas knew that Jordan and Nia were supposed to be there.
Okay. Well, how would she know then?
Bananas could have told her.
Bananas could have told her. Bananas might not have
I know
told
that,
her.
and
she also could
maybe
have told
he
her
did it.
20 He also could have told her
That's
20 minutes before he showed up. That's not before he
That's
came
also
on.
fair. So that's why I'm saying I don't know what the truth is, but part of me felt like that whole conversation was a little forced and/or it was had in such a way just to create a storyline. It didn't feel super organic. Let me put it that way.
Okay, so what I would say is when you're in a situation similar to that, sometimes those conversations come off a little bit forced because it's very difficult to have them. So it feels like you're forcing the issue when you're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay. That's why I say I could go 50-50. But there are 2 things that I like to talk about. Number 1, I actually thought the mission was pretty good because 2 heats, I could tell exactly where everybody was. Did we spend a little too much time on it? Sure, but it was a fine mission.
I
It
thought the mission
tested
was fine.
you.
Yeah.
It tested you physically, and it tested how well you can work with your partner in communication. So completely cool with that. I also thought the elimination was pretty fire. Like, I like this twist on Hall Brawl. I think it actually works better than Hall Brawl.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Let's talk about the elimination a little bit more. The elimination wasn't bad. Did either of you notice that on the last round, and I didn't notice it as much the first 2 rounds, but in the last heat, did you notice that after Horatio won, that it looked like the doors on the second floor pretty much opened at the same time, that there really wasn't an advantage? Olivia may have gotten a slight advantage, but it wasn't a 1
half-second
second advantage.
Well, I was gonna say that I don't think being on whoever performed well on the bottom floor mattered at all in the end. Like, you saw
it
that
doesn't matter
second-
at all.
You saw that second where Johnny somehow was able to push back after he was seemingly 2 inches.
Well, you
away
know what
from
it
death.
was. You know what it was.
What was it?
He realized that having your feet on the floor doesn't work. What he did is he positioned his feet kind of on the side of the glass where you could actually grip, because when they tried to push on the floor, they would just slip back. But what he was doing is he was using the side as leverage to kind of just like push
Inch
himself forward,
forward.
and he kind of just like squatted forward, and it threw Horatio off guard.
That was the one thing I didn't like how they handled that. Just in that, because it seemed like the top 4 was the only one that really mattered, and then going back to Ravyn and Olivia twice, when Olivia's just bigger than Ravyn, it was just able to push her around pretty easily.
And let's also be fair, Ravyn needed to learn how to tie her fucking shoes, because how do your shoes come off?
She just seemed checked out, dude.
She was
right.
Yeah,
she just seemed done.
She was done.
That was
mentally. She was out.
That was one thing at the bar that I thought was really notable when she and Johnny were talking, and he was like, "Oh, you're not good at hiding your emotions." I'm like, you don't tell a girl that. You tell her you don't have to hide your emotions. That's what you say. Because if you're your partner, you want her to be transparent about how she's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did he say that after they were already going back and forth at each other, though?
To some level, but again, you shouldn't say, "Oh, you're not good at hide." If you're,
I think they were both.
She's talking to you.
I think they were both just done with each other at that point, because
sure.
I thought that was honestly one of the more interesting moments of the episode, where Ravyn, Nerys, and Johnny are in this love triangle, and Ravyn keeps saying that she needs more time with Johnny and being some super demanding partner. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
It's a Challenge Chronicles episode for real now, y'all. We got technical problems. Now he's back. Okay, you're here.
You've been freezing a lot.
Yeah. Should I turn on this low data thing?
I don't know. Whatever
I think you're fine.
Best. Let's just keep rolling.
Right. Yeah, so I thought that part wasn't bad. And then when they were out at the club night, I thought that was kind of funny, where they had... What did Ravyn even say? That she talked about how she was going to look like a fool over this. And they didn't really do a good job of explaining to the audience why Ravyn was really going to look like a fool.
I think it was clear, because she came on and thought they were going to be, if not a couple, some sort of back and forth, will they, won't they thing. And then he was hooking up with a different girl. That's what she thought was.
But she never outright said that, right? I don't think Johnny ever outright said it. That's kind of what we understood as an audience. Yeah.
But that's clearly what it was. You think it was something?
I
different?
agree.
Yeah. Okay. But she's not going to say that explicitly.
They kept what she was saying explicitly is that Johnny wasn't being there for him as a partner, and she needed more time with Johnny if they were going to build their chemistry and do well in the game. That's what they kept saying.
Yeah, because that's what you do keep saying. You don't say explicitly, "I wanted to be in a relationship with you," and then you don't want to. That's just not what people do in real life.
I thought that she can say otherwise in her confessionals, though.
Again, she can, but people don't like to admit that. This is where real life actually.
They feed them lines all day in the confessionals.
Yeah,
every line. Nelson literally has a teleprompter in his confessionals, dude. He literally has a teleprompter he's reading off of.
He's
he rehearses lines.
He really does. He is not organic at all. He is the worst actor, because you can tell the difference between actual Nelson versus teleprompter Nelson.
What would you want?
I wouldn't be surprised if they brought Nelson and Olivia together and they're like, okay, So this is what we're thinking. I think we're going to try and like build a type of relationship between the two of you. Nelson's going to act like he's interested. You're going to be a little bit standoffish. Both of you are going to be around for the first 2/3 of the season. And then we're going to culminate towards the end where one of you is in power and has the potential to send the other into elimination. What do you guys think?
I don't know that it goes that far.
I don't think it goes that far. That's a bit too much.
Yeah, no
I
shit.
think it's more
but that's what
like-
it
I think-
seems like.
Yeah. I mean, I can foresee them sitting in the confessional and being like, hey, it looks like there's something going on between you and them. How about we expound on
Yeah,
this?
that makes a lot of sense.
Tell me about Olivia. What do you think about Olivia?
Well, that's definitely.
Oh,
what they
she's
do.
hot, you know. La, 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 la. Like, that's what they do.
I do really dig the purple jacket he's been wearing in his confessionals. I'm a big fan of that look.
Dude,
And then
he consciously, when he does his hair, he pulls back the cornrows and then pulls one over towards his eye. You know he does that. That's intentional for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's with Ravyn, like,
Pat,
go ahead.
I think our buddy Pat Mayo had probably like the best comment about, actually the best two comments I've heard about this episode. Pat
I don't know
Mayo,
if you should
our
say.
buddies,
I don't know if you should say one of them on air.
I'm not gonna say one of them, but I like the Fessy dresses like Puff Daddy in videos from the late '90s. And when I saw, because he had sent this before I'd watched it, when I saw Fessy in his confessional outfit, I was like, "Man, Pat, you nailed it. That looks like Bad Boys for Life, Puff Daddy."
The fact you guys call him Puff Daddy instead of Diddy is really showing your age.
I mean, that's what he was to me. P. Diddy didn't happen until later.
Yeah, I don't know. That's generational.
Is he
gap.
still?
I remember him doing the "Do You Hate Me Now" thing, and that was like the biggest song in the world for like 6 months.
Is he still relevant now? Is he like? Still,
Oh yeah,
like,
people know Diddy. People know.
He's just a gazillionaire. He's known more as like an entrepreneur than a rapper now. So
Yeah, and it's also he's like been feuding with Kanye. I think lately, like everyone has.
well, everybody's feuding with Kanye because
Yeah.
Kanye's an idiot.
He's still in the public spotlight though.
People know who Diddy is. Yeah, but they would
Yeah.
call him Diddy. They would not call him Puff Daddy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Nobody calls him Puff Daddy. But I think it's with real quick. What would you want them to do with the Ravyn stuff? You just want her to admit that she wanted to be in a relationship with this guy, and then he showed up and had different plans.
Yeah, I would want them to go like deep. I would want them to go in deeper to that, and I would want them to go into the other content that Trace discussed at the top of the episode.
Well, for sure. That's a separate issue to me though. She's just not gonna admit that, dude. She's just not. Like that's not what people do.
I think if you
hold on, time out. So if she's not going to admit it, have someone else like bring it up and like push that storyline along. That's what's going on. You can do that easily.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't think they couldn't pull Tori aside and say, "Hey, we think that she has really strong feelings for Johnny over here. Can you maybe broach a conversation about it?"
I suppose you could, but we've also complained about them setting up people with teleprompter line confessionals. So then we want them to do that now.
No, all you can say, all you have to do is go to Tori or Johnny. Johnny be more than happy.
Johnny
to do
be in.
be like, Johnny, what's going on between Johnny and Ravyn? Done.
Johnny Bananas, I would assume you're meaning.
Yeah.
Yes, Johnny Bananas.
Not Johnny Middlebrooks. Okay.
Johnny would be like, "Yes, I'll go find out. I'll go stir the pot a little bit." I mean, that's all. I mean, that's okay in my opinion for reality TV because you're trying to create a compelling product and you're not trying to like script lines. But if producers have information about something going on that's maybe not necessarily related to who they're going to put in elimination, let's say there's a personal conflict going on. Let's say that there's a relationship question or a sticky situation. I think it's perfectly fine for production to pull somebody aside they know that'll go like fish for information on camera and give them some content. Like, I have no problem with that.
How many actual storylines do we think Bananas will be involved in this season?
Bananas?
I mean, him and Devin have to be pretty. I was just thinking about this. Him and Devin have to be pretty frustrated that they were able to produce that type of content for the show and it pretty much went to a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Why do we think? Hold on. Let's pause for a second. Why do we think that production wants to move away from that type of stuff on the show when they have 90 minutes to fill?
I mean,
what
who
is
knows?
the?
So
what is the game?
What should they have cut?
They want so it. This is why they do it. They want to appeal to the widest audience possible, like as wide as it gets. That's what they want to appeal to because they want to get more viewers. And by trying to appeal to the most amount of people, they make a shitty product. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
What
Okay.
should they have cut
Yeah.
from this episode?
All right, let's just fucking go down the list because I was literally
Yeah,
going
what should they
down my
cut?
notes because I was like, all right, we need to talk about this shit. Otherwise, people are gonna be fucking pissed at us because we just bitched and moaned for 45 minutes, right? So, people working out, Annalise and Tommy saying that there's a stigma for Big Brother players. Who gives a fuck? Horatio saying that his elimination win last week was a statement to the house, and he said that now they might have a target on their back. No fucking shit, Horatio. Johnny says that it's good to see that Jordan and breaks down the dynamics of the politics in the house. We already knew it was fucking veterans versus rookies. We get Nerys and Ravyn and Johnny talking about their love triangle. That was okay.
I think you can kind of. Well, if you want to bring in this other content, that would have actually been relevant to that. So if you were going to bring,
yeah, that's what I mean, right? So like, that's why I don't think that one's that bad. Then we get another Pfizer commercial with Tori and Anissa talking about antidepressants.
Antidepressants again.
I
am glad though.
I will say, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I am glad that Tori did say that you need to talk with a professional and find like the best path for you. Like I thought that they did a good job of including that because I think that's exactly what I was.
That's what I said last week, and I'm glad they did that. I'm really glad they did that.
Because when she talked about the antidepressants, that seemed pretty off the cuff. Like that was just her and Anissa talking after she had shown up. So, and I mean that's actual like. I don't mind that being an episode, but we can continue.
After that, we get Casey and Fessy talking about how he changed his name to The Decision. Like, Fessel. I don't need to hear this. Like, we don't need to add that into the episode. I don't think that's very relevant at all. I know that they tried to build this. They tried to build this episode around Fessy and the decision that he had to make at the end. Like,
my thing is with some of this stuff too. Like, what's this beginning of this episode? Didn't it feel like we're back in like Inferno days where you could tell exactly what was going to happen based on what they were talking about? Oh my
god, dude!
Like we get all this.
Fuck!
It's like, okay, we get some Tori and Jordan and Issa content because they just showed up, so that's why they're around. And then we get all this Fessy stuff. It's like, man, I wonder who's going to win this mission. And then all these rookies, like, oh, we're getting tons of Johnny and Ravyn. It's like, okay, well, I can already scratch
you're going home.
list over here.
In the conversation that Johnny Bananas had with Jordan, he talks about how it would be really interesting to see what would happen if Fessy won, because Fessy and Nelson are trying to play the middle ground here. And it's like, well, shit, I guess Fessy's going to win.
I guess Fessy's going to win because we know Nelson's not.
Yeah, and then it's also like, yeah. Do we even think he's playing the middle ground, really? I mean, he's doing all rookies this episode. I don't
think so. He did exactly what he should. I think he played the correct move. He
did the correct move.
He did what he should have did. And the team that he ended up throwing in was Johnny and Ravyn, what the veterans perceived to be the biggest threat in the house.
Yeah, I think Bananas might just be saying that to try to.
Let's keep powering through this. Let's fire through. Okay. We get the mission.
We got like 10 minutes, so we're gonna power.
This will be a way that we can at least say that we addressed everything that happened in the episode. Then after the mission, back at the house, Annalise and Tommy start crying about how they didn't do well in the mission. Like, who gives a shit about Annalise and Tommy, right?
Nobody.
We get to nomination. Mariah, for as good as she seems like she is a competitor, we haven't talked about her yet. She does seem like she's a good competitor. She does not seem like she's able to produce very good content overall as a dynamic character.
She's very, very much like Jenny vibes from her, right?
Way less. I think Jenny's way better of a character than.
Well, but Jenny's character was like her, like tripping over herself and falling into random rivalries with like Dee and Rogan and stuff. Like that was what she did. Whereas with Mariah being attached to Fessy the way she is, I don't know that's gonna happen.
After the deliberation, we get to the interrogation where
just the most pointless content. The fact we're having
most pointless content was that
this season. I mean, my God! Like, how can they have watched these things for the past 10 seasons or whatever? I think we need more of them. Like,
dude, so Mariah, literally nothing happens in the interrogation between Colin and Kim. Mariah says that she's sorry and that it's nothing personal. Mariah then says that she's sorry to both Horatio and Olivia, and Horatio says it sucks to be back there. Tommy says that he wants to try and strike a deal, which Fessy could care less about. And then Johnny tries to make some type of deal, but it's just not going to happen.
Man. This is why you need real people to win the mission, like Bananas and Nani, because Bananas at least is going to try to find a way to make it entertaining. They had the confrontation with Turbo. They tried to have some political gamemanship. Fessy is just boring television. He's legitimately the most boring character.
My thing is, I just think it's a bad setup for content. Like I would, even if it is Wes, Bananas, whoever that's actually interesting to watch in there. I'd still rather just be around the house. I don't need this ham-fisted part of the episode in. And the other issue
here's
is that
Fessy.
it's one pair who's interrogating them. At least in the past, it was like, oh, there's like 3 pairs up there, so there's some dynamic that way, where there's a couple different people
Well,
involved.
I honestly still found those boring. But
no, I
we'll
think
move
they're
on
all
from
a
that.
waste of time. I would much rather just have them in the house.
Then we get we get into the night out. Colleen, Kim, Tommy, and Elise. Tommy and Annalise make a deal with Colleen and Kim. Then Tommy and Annalise make a deal with Horatio and Olivia. I don't know if production thought that was going to be a much bigger hit and that people would be more into that, but
maybe some people were.
It's a bunch of people at the bottom fighting for scraps. That's what it is,
right? It's just these people who it's like, okay, rookie pair 1 versus rookie pair 2 versus rookie pair 3. There's no relationships that have been built up over time. Like, if that's Nelson, Corey, and Hunter and they're doing that, okay, that's compelling. These people have known each other and actually are friends outside of the show. These people don't know each other from Adam.
Johnny talks to Ravyn and they get into their argument. Tori and Jordan have their moment, which I actually didn't think was that bad for what it was.
I thought those 2 scenes were good.
It was fine. I thought it was good content. I just don't know if it was real or not. That's my only question.
I don't think it came off as insincere to me as it did to you. But it was something that they needed to do. It's something that they had to do. And I thought that they fit it in nicely, especially within the context of the episode.
I thought those 2 scenes were good. If anything, I would have wanted more of those 2 scenes and throw Tommy and Annalise out of here.
Which, by the way, Big Brothering, man. These first-time Big Brother players just cannot understand they're not playing Big Brother. Like, doing what they did is going to screw them completely.
I mean, maybe, dude. The other thing is these Big Brother lines just ran the past 3 seasons.
All right, so is it in the bag that Kenny will have the lowest amount of confessionals for someone that makes it the entire length of the season? Is that just like cash money right now?
Look, there's a chance that some of those pairs do get put in.
They're going to have to at some point.
Like, if Jade and Michelle win, and then they say, all right,
dude,
guys.
That's a big if.
That's not happening.
That's a big if.
Okay, if one of these not the thing is, missions are random enough. We've already seen Johnny and Ravyn won the first mission. They were pretty close to winning this mission. Horatio and Olivia could easily win a mission. Somebody else wins a mission, and they say, "All right, guys, Tori and Devin, Bananas and Ani, Casey and Kenny, Jordan and Anissa, let's go. All 4 of you are in. One's going home."
How close do we think they actually were to winning the mission? We don't know, because the way that they edit it with the multiple heats, there could have been multiple people from the first heat that did better than Johnny and Ravyn.
I mean,
they blew the horn as soon as they won the heat, so we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's fucking
we know
stupid that they do that. Then that's insane.
What do you mean?
Well, there's no point because their last place doesn't go in. So what's the point?
No, if he's saying that as soon as the first place person finishes the heat, they blow the horn and it's over.
They do.
I guess you're right.
It doesn't matter because it only matters the winner of the winner of the 2 heats are the only times it matters.
I suppose what you could say is, what if this is a Laurel and War of the Worlds 2 situation where they had there was something they did wrong that they didn't quite catch on the first time around.
Someone DQs.
Yeah, somebody cheated, and then we need a second. Then I could see where that you might want to have a second or third place finish.
But I also think it's just a victim of the format. Like, I think that the last place team should automatically be one of those 4 teams. If they're going to do this format of how they're going to do that, you got to incentivize these people to finish the mission. Like, you've got to give them a reason to at least try and finish.
So after we go to the night out, we go back to the house. Colleen says that she's kind of into Fessy and she wants to talk to Fessy to try and use her womanly ways to persuade him to not go into elimination. Fessy comes in the room and it happens. Fessy bends to the wills of Colleen, and he says that as of now, they're not going to be the name that's coming out of his mouth. He gives a very qualified answer, which I think is good for him to do. After that, we get Laurel and Horatio talking. Horatio just talking about the game and just some bullshit that we don't need to see. Then we get a final scene before we go into elimination where Johnny says that he's not on the same page as Ravyn, and then we get the elimination. That was it. We should honestly do the fastest 5 minutes. We should knock off Chris Berman's segment that he does on Monday Night Football and just do that for the episode.
I agree. The only other thing that we didn't really talk about, and I just want to talk about it for a second, but Fessy's taken heart to how his reaction is on social media, because Fessy is way more interesting when he's being a real arrogant villain. And there were moments of that in this episode. Him talking about all the girls he doesn't want, then going to Horatio made me actually laugh, because it's like, oh, this is the Fessy I want to see. I want him to be the arrogant villain, because my God, the whole point of this show is you want to root for your favorites and you want to root against people you don't like. And you know what, Fessy? If you want to be an interesting character that they build marketing around, you've got to lean into this arrogant villain role. Because if you win...
He could be, and we just don't see it. That's the thing.
That's the thing is, I don't
really
think he
can't say
shied
anything
away
about
from
this.
it at all. I don't know that he's done anything where he shied away from being somewhat of an antagonist. Has he?
Maybe they're editing around it, but it feels like he's toned it down. And it's like, no, dude, you need to tone it up.
I don't know that he has. I think part of it's they want, for one, like he gives some represent. There's not much Islamic American representation on the show. There's not. So they feel like if this is like their one person they have on who's Muslim, they probably want to give them a rounded character arc. Maybe that's projecting a little bit too much, but I think that's a real thing. And then beyond that, like I don't know that he's shied away from leaning into the villain role at all, really. I just think, again, they're trying to round out his character a little bit, and with that comes some content that's more like personal background stuff than just him being a villain.
Fair. But I think it's the same. I don't know what is going on. I wonder if it's just a reaction to 2020, and I don't mean this from a negative way. So anybody thinking what I'm about to say is negative, please don't take it that way. It feels like the way that they're editing The Amazing Race, Survivor, and The Challenge these days is they really want to lean heavily into personal background if you have something interesting or diverse, and that's fine. But it almost feels like they're not showing other interesting content for the sake of giving this social background. And while I agree, it can be interesting when done correctly, but I feel like, especially watching the last couple seasons of Survivor, and The Challenge is now starting to do it a little bit too, they're spending too much time in every episode giving us I had brain surgery and I overcame this and I blah, 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 blah. We get like a 5-minute social corner.
We get
and
politics,
it's worthless content.
We get politics, we get relationships drama, and then some existential conversation about life. That's what we get. Those
the
are
thing
the
is, I don't know
three
that
buckets.
shows. I think that show's always kind of done that. The one distinction now, so they always kind of did that. The one thing was that there was an era of the show where it was just the same people showing up every time. So we don't hear about Evan's existential crisis, but he's been here for the past 5 seasons. We know him. Like, we're not getting Bananas' existential crisis, are we?
No.
We got Nani's.
We got Nani.
We get it from people all the time.
Yeah, but that's when they have a pretty significant
we
change.
We get Fessy changing his name to The Decision.
But that's
he's not changing his name. That's his actual name.
I know. I'm fucking joking around.
I know.
But that's.
I think my point is instead of it, my thing is instead of it feeling organic, it feels like howdy. It's time for the little existential crisis conversation of the episode.
That's what they do. They do that for sure.
Well, it's whenever that person wins the mission that week. They're all right. Let's get their existential crisis for this week. Like we know next week.
And it's just.
We know next week if somebody's like, yeah, my sister's been going through a rough time. It's like, okay, well, we can write them in for a mission win for the week. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah. And Survivor's doing the same thing. Even the damn Amazing Race is doing it now. And I think it really is a reaction to 2020, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. First of all, let me be clear. The problem is the pendulum was over. The pendulum was over here where we were barely talking about it. And now we've swung over here to where it's eating up too much time in the show. There is a happy medium between these 2 points. You can still have the existential crisis conversation, but let's not try to force it in. Let's let it be organic. All of these reality shows are starting to feel too heavily formatted and scripted, and reality TV is at its best when you put crazy people in a situation and sit back and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
So, anyway, I got to go in 3 minutes.
Okay. I mean, I guess we'll just see what happens moving forward here. I mean, I think as long as we have these rookie teams on the bottom, unless somebody not in that power grouping can win, it feels like it's going to be kind of chalk city. Eventually, we're going to have to get to the point where it's at least Amber B and Chauncey who are going in and not just all, because we don't have
and Jane Michelle.
There's only 3 rookie pairs left, right?
And Amber B and
House
Chauncey
Targaryen.
And Michelle.
Yeah.
And then Jay
and Michelle aren't rookies, but
I know.
They might as well.
They might as well be.
Yeah.
Those
for the purpose of this season.
That's going to be the next 2 weeks. It's going to be the 3 rookie pairs: Chauncey and Amber B, Jay and Michelle. One of them will go home next week, and then the following week the other team will be replaced. And
It's
then
going to take till about episode 6 or 7 for shit to get interesting, because at that point, it's going to have at least a vet in each elimination at that point. We've got to get to that point.
Who do we think, after we get through the cannon fodder, who do we think is at the bottom of that veteran group that will have to kind of muscle up? And
I don't know that it's clear there's a clear bottom. I think there's just kind of different sides of it.
Mm-hmm. I think that Nelson and Nuries are probably in the worst spot, just because it looks like Bananas and Devin are thick as thieves right now. Laurel is going to be loyal to Bananas, and he's going to be loyal to her. Nani's going to be loyal to Casey, and vice versa. Casey's going to be loyal to Fessy. And if you're not in that little web right there, you're kind of shit out of luck.
Because my thing is, like, if Tori and Devin win, like, what connection do they really have to Darrell and Veronica?
I think they're the vet team that's going to be in the worst position, but they're going
to
stick
about
around
that.
a while.
We talked about that.
So I think it's just going to depend on who wins once we get to that position, which could actually be somewhat interesting. What you could say is just that with having to put 4 teams in, that we are going to get to a point that there's going to be a point where those teams have to start going in earlier than they would be normal.
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to have to go to an individual team format, because we don't have enough people for the amount of episodes that they're going to need to stretch this piece of shit out to. Because we're in episode 3 right now, and if they got rid of 2 people every week, we would only have like 9 more episodes left.
Really? Is there that few people left?
Well, yeah, because if they got rid of 2 every week, we would have 9 more episodes left to have 4 pairs in a final.
Okay.
And that would leave us at 12 episodes in total for the season. So they're going to shake things up relatively soon.
My thing is that we lost any pairs. We've had 3 people come in. We've had 3 new pairs come in since the beginning of the season.
I'm just looking at the amount of people that. Well, we lost a pair each week. We've gone through 3 episodes.
My God, please let that mean there's only 12 episodes.
Well, there's no way.
There's no way. We had Nam and his partner show up for half a second though, and then go back, and then Casey and Kenny have been like back and forth. So it's only that few. Jeez.
Because you know what I mean? Based off of the amount of people that are left. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I got you, yeah.
I understand.
All right. We got to jump. Thank you for listening, everyone. Talk to you again soon.